Hello, everybody. Hi, is it Sholzy Wolsey? How are you? Pray that all is well. I want y'all to see my face tonight, so I'm totally gonna remove this banner. Yes, so we can talk. As promised, I went and I looked at the Rayshard footage. It's definitely not what I feel like I signed up to do, because again, this channel is to inspire, uplift, empower, raise awareness, educate, all of those type of things. But sometimes we can't do those things without addressing some grassroots issues, some common issues, some things that just are continually happening that allows us to be shown, and when I say us, meaning people of color, to be shown in a different light. Hey, Modest Nation. Hey, Miss Lady T Dixon. Hey, CeeLo. So yeah, I feel like I got a lot of light on me right now. So y'all, your girl, she did it. I still hadn't been able to look at George Floyd yet, but I did this one. I looked, I listened, I watched additional videos. The only video that I have not had the opportunity to see is a video of the officer actually kicking Rayshard after he was down. I saw the still shot when the district attorney was and I'm going to put in the description as well the link to the videos that I watched. I'm not going to pull those videos up because I'm still struggling with the rules of YouTube and what they should look like, but I will have the links in the description so you can watch the entire interaction with Rayshard on the body cam from the moments of the initial interaction until the struggle started. And when the struggle occurred, one of the officers' camera fell off. However, there is additional footage, I believe, from the other officers' point of view, but I hadn't looked at that yet. I looked at some of it, but not the entire thing. Hey, Vanessa House, how are you doing? Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. So Modest Nation, I watched the Alive 11. I'm definitely going to put it in the chat. I mean, not in the chat, in the description, so that you guys can go back. So let's first start with all lives can't matter until Black Lives Matter. Let's start there. My stance is still the same. I agree with the lady that was walking through my city with the sign stating all lives can't matter until Black Lives Matter. I 100% agree. I think that the value of our life has not truthfully been the same since slavery. And that may sound so horrible, but at least during slavery, if someone hurt us, if someone harmed us, the slave master could get his money, get his value worth from us, for us rather. We were we had value. Somewhere along the time when we became free, value was lost. Hey, TR News and Reviews, thank you so much for coming over. I greatly appreciate you. I try to say it every time he comes in. TR is the reason why you guys see my face today. He really pushed me, and I bless God for it. So when I say I lost my train of thought. Going back to Black Lives Matter. They do. No ifs, ands, buts about it. And saying that our value, we probably hadn't really had any since slavery. Even when we as a people created, the HFL vlogs, created Black Wall Street and was creating our own income to America. we were not valued. And to America, it was a concern that we were getting to a place where we could financially carry ourselves. And so that needs to be a concern. And it needs to not just be a concern for Black people, it should be a concern for the American people, regardless. Because if they can control one population or one sector of people, it's only a matter of time before they can control others. And I think we have to keep that in mind. That's one of the things that I often keep dear to my heart. If someone can mistreat me or mistreat somebody else, then they can do the same thing to me. Like, I don't think I'm above being mistreated by someone. So that's that. The other thing is, when it comes to Black Lives Matter, the movement, it has gotten away from the original purpose of it, which at the time was to talk about our value. But I went and I tried to find what has occurred within the last since 2013, I believe it was, when they were founded. And I've seen a lot of protests, but I'm missing education. I'm missing the pieces of what do they do when there isn't a situation of someone being killed by a police officer. What is or a statue needing to be taken down, or like, what is the true premises? And this isn't me speaking negatively against the movement, but it's hard to be a part of a movement that we don't understand, that we don't know what the initial, well, not even the initial, the end goal is going to be. Because what does it look like for our lives to matter? What do we want? What is the expectation? And I still go back to what my husband says when he stated, just for it to be fair. What does fair look like for us? Like, we have to know the answers to those questions. And I feel like, for the first time in my life, I feel not qualified to talk about something Black because I'm not dark enough. And I don't know if that makes sense. But in watching the video and thinking about how can I come back and talk about this, how can I move forward in this, I began to reflect on my skin tone and the fact that people think because I'm considered a light-skinned person, I even struggle with what my skin tone is, and not in the perspective of I don't like myself. Like, I don't know. Like, I there have been several times I asked my husband, like, so is that my complexion? Is that my complexion? Because for whatever reason, I don't see the same complexion that everybody else sees. And he's like, no, you're a little lighter than that. I'm like, no, I can't be, because I'm struggling with seeing the same complexion that he sees. Not that it matters, because I'm the mother of four beautiful children, who are several shades darker than me. A daughter who I had to teach, baby, you better love the skin that you're in. So I get the struggle, or the how can I say it? I come, CeeLo said that colorism is a deep topic. It is, because in our family, I'm considered kind of dark. My mother is that of a white woman, but she's not white. And so that's a sector that, like, a whole nother topic that we have to talk about, and that we need to address within our own community, because skin tone doesn't make us any, it shouldn't make us any different. We in 2020 should not still be dealing with the whole, because we didn't even get to truly experience it, though we did to some degree, and they may sound bad, the whole paper bag test, or being in the field versus being in the house, or the different things that come with colorism. But it's still there, and that's something that we have to talk about, because I just remember trying to teach my child, baby, you're beautiful. What do you mean? What is the why do you want to be lighter? I wish I had your skin tone. Like, just gorgeous. And it took her a while to accept it. Now that she has, and that's what I say all the time. She now you can't tell her much of anything. I often say I think I probably cursed her a tad bit too much, but that's okay. That's my baby, and she's gorgeous. And so today was the first time that I struggled with, am I black enough to even talk about Black lives? Now, mind you, I'm the person that, though my voice can be soft, it can be loud, it can be hard, it can be passionate. It could, there are so many pieces and so many layers to who I am. That I don't like being put in a box. I don't like being confined by a label. I don't like, I've always been that way, even as a child. I don't feel I should have to go to a voting booth and say whether I'm a Democrat or Republican or an independent or a green or libertarian. I feel like I should be able to go in there and my box look like a daggum zigzag puzzle if I want to. I don't like labels for people that are like, I don't feel like we should put anybody in a label. Hi, Mama Pat. I feel that, hey, Crystal G, thank y'all so much for coming in. I feel that we should be able to be whoever God has created us to be the best at being who God has created us to be, because the world need us to be who God created us to be, no matter what that color is, no matter what that economic background is. That's what we're supposed to be, right? So me digging, I see that Black Lives Matter. I'm sorry, I'm trying to get comfortable, y'all, because I like, this is real. I see that Black Lives Matter has been funded by a lot of people. I'm not going to say any names of who they are funded by. I do know that there are some high checks that go out at the top. And this is me looking at it like, again, okay, so what is the purpose now? Because I'm not anti-rally. I'm not anti-protest. I'm not one that will go out and riot. I'm definitely not one that will loot, because I don't steal. I think everybody needs to have a extreme room, a place where they can go to just tear up something sometimes when they're mad and frustrated. So I'll never judge anybody for that. If you've ever punched a wall out of anger, then you understand what it's like to have something built up in you so much that you got to hit something, but you don't want to hit someone. Amen. So I'll never pass judgment in those areas, but I know I'll never be, that's not my line of defense. That's not how I fight. Hey, Coach, how are you? Vanessa House said, what is the premise of the movement exactly? So the movement started in, I believe it was 2013, because I didn't even take notes about it. Not because it was like, but because I don't even want to push that agenda yet, because I'm not even sure about the agenda, if that makes sense. But it started after George Zimmerman was not charged with the Trayvon Martin murder. I think that just like in this current case with Raysard Brooks, we have to look at charges that was placed on George Zimmerman. And so the day that he was charged and the prosecutor stated that he was charged, or the DA stated that he was charged, I knew that he wasn't going to be convicted of first-degree murder. And so that's where we have to start when we say Black Lives Matter. If our lives matter, and I know that they do, as a Black woman, as a Black mother of 2 Black sons, 2 daughters, as a Black sister to 4 Black brothers, 2 Black sisters, a wife to a Black man, a niece to Black uncles, a cousins to Black cousins. We matter. No ifs, ands, buts about it. Like, we matter. But in saying that we matter, we have to also act like we matter. And so what does that look like? What does what does it look like? Does it look like the protesting in the street? Does it look like the rioting in the street? Does it look like the what does it look like? Like, I can't say that enough. What does it look like? Because for me, some of the stuff that I've seen, that doesn't represent me. It doesn't represent who I am. It's not me judging. It just doesn't represent me and who I am. It doesn't represent how I will fight. Now, there are some things that they have tried to tackle law wise. I don't know how successful they were. It's not just an organization for Black people. Anybody that feel that Black Lives Matter can be a part of this organization. And if I remember correctly, I even joined the local chapter's social media information, if I can remember correctly, when this first came off the ground, because I was thinking this is what we need. We got to start somewhere. But then that's all I kind of got. And so I have to go back to just the premises of the word, which is Black Lives Matter, and Black lives do matter. And if you find yourself getting any type of crazy, any type of angry, any type of frustrated when you hear someone say the word Black Lives Matter and your response has to be all lives matter, then you're missing the point. You don't know what's happening. You're not paying attention to the world. Hey, Derek. Hold on. Let me back up a little bit. Dracio said, unequivocally, you are Black enough to talk about this. If you have a drop, you are qualified. Well, thank you, sir. Mama Pat said, exactly. Hi, Coach. Derek said, I'll name names. Many of those benefactors could care less about Blacks. Late to the party, but greetings, Iseashia of Memphis. Watching you live on YouTube from Philadelphia. Mama Pat says, me either. Just believe in justice. Derek says, one of the founders of BLM is a manic. You should see her videos on YouTube. They're useful idiots. Cause has been co-opted and corrupted. CeeLo says, yes, there are corrupt folks in just about every organization, even the church. Folks say the same about many Black organizations. And this is true. And so again, this is why I chose to address the verbiage and not the organization. And so for me, Black Lives Matter. And until we can figure out how to make sure that we aren't a product of genocide, a race that is becoming extinct, then we matter. And we have to keep saying that. But not only, here's another layer. We got to make sure that our children know that, baby, you matter. Like, don't think because of the things that you see on the news, on the TV, that is becoming sensationalized means that you don't matter. You do matter. Which is how we got to the Rayshard Brooks conversation. Vanessa House says he was denied bail today. No bail. I would assume you're talking about one of the officers who didn't get bail today. Vanessa House. So as promised, y'all, I did some research, and my view hasn't changed. I don't see an officer that was out to purposely kill a Black man. I don't see officers that were racist. I actually watched a 45-minute video before the what do you call it? The fight, the wrestle, the tussle started, and they were nothing but polite to him. Actually, when the first officer walked up to the car, he knocked on the window and he said, hey, man, like he had to beat on the window first. And then he just opened the door, and just so happened his door was unlocked. He said, "Hey, are you okay? Are you tired? You had a long day or whatever?" And he was like, "Pull over. You're in the middle of drive-thru, basically. Pull over so you can take a nap." Now, this is what he said to him initially. He walked back to his car, was about to get in his car, and he noticed that the car didn't move. He went back to the car, knocked on the window again, opened the door again, and he said, "Hey, you went back to sleep. Are you okay? Do I need to call an ambulance? I need you. You're in the middle of the drive-thru. I need you to pull over." So he pulled over. He finally kind of set up, and then he pulled over. He went back to sleep again. So the officer literally said on his way to the car, "I don't feel like dealing with this dude. Like, this is not what I want to do tonight. I don't want to have to take him to jail. I don't want that's what I received. Not a I don't feel like dealing with him like that." No, it was just like, hey, this ain't even the type of night that I want. Just go over here, sleep it off. Like, he was gonna let him sleep it off. And you can see the moment when he second guessed himself and is like, "Let me just make sure." That's when he goes to the car again. And then he asked him, "Have you had any drinks?" And he said he had one. He asked him for, was that a rental car? Because when he was in the car, he typed in the information. He asked him, was it a rental car? He said yes. He asked him, was he from around here? He said no. He said that his mother's birthday had passed, his girlfriend's birthday had passed. He went to visit his mother's gravesite. This was all before he talked about his daughter's party. He said his sister lived right up the street. And there were a lot of people that kept saying, well, his sister lived right up the street. Why couldn't they just put him in the car, take him up there and see? Well, in this video that I watched, I found out that he didn't even know where he was. He named 3 different roads that he was not on. He said there's a bridge up away. There was not a bridge. He named 3 different counties that he was not in. He said something about Jonesboro, I believe. And I'm not sure how far that he is or what part of a county that he is in Georgia. I don't know. Or if there is a county in Georgia. I don't know. He said he was on old something highway. He wasn't there. He was actually on University. He said he was at the motel something behind the McDonald's, but there wasn't a motel anything behind the McDonald's. Multiple chances they gave him. So asked him his date of birth. He told him his date of birth, asked him his name. He told him his name. And then he asked him to stay in the car, and he went back to his truck. If he was any way threatened by this man, I don't think he would have even made the type of contact that he made with him. When he went back to the truck, he asked for a DUI certified officer to be sent. He asked him, mind you, in the drive-thru, do I need to call you an ambulance? Like, he asked all of these questions. When he asked for the DUI certified officer to come out, it was because he smelled alcohol. He asked him, when did he drink? I couldn't tell. I listened to it a couple of times. My husband and I both thought initially he said around 12 today, but then it sounded like about 2 hours ago. We couldn't really determine. He asked him if he did any drugs, and he stated, no, I do not do drugs. He said that he came over to get something to eat, that he had just come from getting something to eat. Like, the story just, it was, you could clearly tell that this was a man that was, okay, thank you, Vanessa House. You could tell that this was a man that was clearly under the influence. The initial officer, he also stated that he slurred his words, he smelled alcohol, and that he didn't want to leave him because he didn't want him to try to drive and leave. Now, mind you, this man, again, was very intoxicated. Anytime a police officer pulls up to your car, knocks on your window, and tell you to go over and take a nap, I think the wise thing to do is to immediately go over and take a nap because that's grace. Upon walking away, again, he didn't move. He went back to sleep. He went over again and was like, "Hey, pull over." Went to the car. I don't feel like doing this today. Got in the car, typed in a little stuff, then got out the car, went back over. He was asleep again. Got him up, asked him about the drinks. Let me get your license. Fumbling to get the license, hadn't had it yet. Really couldn't understand a lot of what Rayshard was saying. Some things that came out yesterday in the charging of these officers. Let me see if I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm a bag back. So, after the DUI officer coming on the scene, he gives him several sobriety tests. I'm sorry, I was reading the comments. Vanessa House said 2 eyewitness witnesses from Memphis rappers will be witnesses for the defense. See Channel 3 News today. The third shot went into their car in the Wendy's drive-thru line. Yes. So there were 3 shots fired. But let's back up before we even get to the shots. So he asks him, will he take a voluntary breathalyzer? Now, Rayshard could have said no, but kind of just like Tennessee, and I don't know if this is everywhere. If you say no to a breathalyzer, you're automatically going to jail. So he took the test. I was trying my best to read the number on the machine. I couldn't see the number on the machine. I'm certain if we were to actually pull up court documents that we will be able to see exactly what his level of intoxication was. I'm trying to make sure that I give y'all everything. So I watched yesterday when the DA listed the charges. I didn't go through those charges thoroughly. I did struggle, though, after I saw them for a couple of reasons. I struggled with the standing on his shoulders. I have to be honest with you. It wasn't because I felt like so there's no way for me to pick the right words for this, okay? So, like, it is what it is. We can talk about it. I just ask that we be respectful. I felt like the officer standing on his arms, shoulder, putting his weight on him, even after he was shot, was to prevent him from moving. Because keep in mind, this is a man that had been tased and still was running. To tase someone is literally supposed to subdue your muscles for a minimum of 5 seconds. It phased him none. There were 3 shots fired. One hit the car, as stated in the chat, the bottom part of the car. The other hit him in the butt, and the other hit him in the back. Many are saying he shouldn't have been shot in the back. Well, let me say this. What I saw was on a video was a man whose torso was turned, but the latter part of his body was moving forward. That officer, in the split second that it took for him to pull his trigger, Rayshard's body, top half of his body could have been turned around. I know that we have a lot of frustration with white officers killing Black people. I know we do. I'm irritated. To see George Floyd, it was horrible. To see what happened to Breonna Taylor and people talking about bringing up all this stuff about her being a part of a drug this, drug that. They didn't even go to the house for her. Like, how do we change this? Hi, Life of Sanya. How do we change this to her now? Somebody that was in EMT, but she was deep in the dope game. Like, how do we do this when, a no-knock warrant? But we want in plain clothes, but we want to now try to vilify the victim. And so I struggle with that. And so yesterday, when I did this and posted it, I was in a real struggle position because I was like, dadgummit, y'all, here I am. I just didn't feel there was any racism. But then here's this still shot. Mind you, I hadn't seen the videos. I need to see the videos before I can even address the kicking. However, was the kicking right? No. If it was a kick, was it a kick to turn over his body? Because I don't trust bending down to touch you because you've already fought me. I don't know for sure that I've hit you and that you're completely down. I don't know because I hadn't seen the video. So I have to go back still to my original statement. For 45 minutes, you can't fake if you're okay with someone because of their, based on the color of their skin. You can't fake that you were going to let him go. He was going to let him go. He told him to pull over and take a nap. It was the fact that he went back to sleep that caused him to go back over there. And then, even then, you can literally see on his video where he takes a moment to think, is this really what I'm gonna deal with? But I'm sure what went through his mind is, if he drives, he can kill somebody. So, Modest Nation, I hadn't seen the video. There's a still shot, like a picture of him, big blown up picture of him as if he's kicking, but it could have very well been a situation of him kicking his body over. And I'm not even saying kicking, like literally turning his body over with his foot because there had been a fight. And so you don't know how to approach him right now for your safety. Yes, they had patted him down. Again, his erratic behavior. This is 3 people that have had great dialogue, even though it was slurred, even though he was drunk. CeeLo said, host, what are you saying? Which part do you mean? Am I saying it was right to kick him? I'm saying I hadn't seen the video of him kicking him. I saw a still shot picture. And I can't make a call on a still shot picture because, again, did I see him kick him multiple times? Did I see him kick the body to turn the body over because I don't trust him? I've just had a fight with him. I don't know. So that part I can't even address. But here's some political things that I can share with you. So right before this show, watching another show, I guess I hadn't done enough digging. I learned that this DA is the very, I agree. I'm definitely gonna put the link in the description, Modest Nation, to a video where you can watch the entire 45 minutes from the body cam of one of the officers. I hadn't seen the second officer. But let's go back. Rayshard. Nope, because I'm not going to vilify the victim. I'm not a Candace Owens. But I'm painting a picture here, okay? Let me be very clear. Painting a picture of probably why, hey, AW, why he broke bad like he did. AW was out on parole for an 8-year sentence. Rayshard, AW, you were not out on parole, baby. Rayshard was out on parole for an 8-year sentence. Rayshard was let out early because of COVID-19. If Rayshard went back to jail, he was going to have to do his time. That's one. 2, Rayshard was a threat. He had charges of child endangerment, abuse type of situations. He's a violent offender. Let's say that. This is something the officers at that time didn't even really know. Probably would have handled him a lot differently had they have known. Um, now, Vanessa House, I will say that in my research, I found that that was not true. That the other officer is not testifying against him. But that's just in what because I heard people saying that he was, but that was just in my research. And so this is not me vilifying him. This is me now understanding, okay, now I see why he really didn't want to go to jail, because I was trying to figure it out. I was like, is this a situation where he's just mental? Is it a situation where he is dealing with PTSD? This is a situation where he was out on parole, and this was going to send him back for sure. For sure. The other thing that I found interesting was this very DA that said that a taser is not deadly to a police officer is the same DA that just said a week before this incident, when the college students were tased, that the taser is used as deadly force. So against the police officer is not deadly force, but against the college students who wouldn't get out of the car, it was deadly force. And not even bringing up that topic because that's another topic in itself. I'm just saying that within 7 days of each other, this DA contradicted himself. That's one. 2. Oh, TR, it's okay. 2. It's a political year. And watching the show that I watched before coming on here, as a matter of fact, is TR News and Review. So you guys can go and listen and watch for yourself. The DA is up for re-election. Not only is he up for re-election, but apparently there's some charges against him for some misconduct, inappropriate conduct. So, with that being said, we have to question everything about this, every angle about this. And my stance is still, I don't see this as an issue of police brutality. I don't see this as an issue of 2 white cops taking out a black cop. I don't see this as an issue, hi Terry, of him being shot because they were angry because he got the best of them. No. I actually see 2 officers that did their job, that were extremely, extremely polite, that wanted to extend him grace, and he just continued to lie. I don't believe it's the officer. And to even say, well, they could have given him a ride. A ride where? He did not know where he was. Like, he named 3 different streets that he was on, 3 different cities, counties that he was in, and all of them was wrong. So where were they going to give him a ride to if he didn't even know where he was? Now, the other piece is, because this was brought up quite a bit, well, what if he had a mental issue? He was asked several times. Oh, thank you, content. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm actually about to drop the link on this one because I told y'all I give you my honest opinion. He was asked several times, do you have any health issues? No. Do you have any mental issues? No. Do you have any health conditions that will cause you to be unbalanced? I'm telling you, this is me listening to the officer. No. Those officers never raised their voice at him until the struggle. And even the officer that initially was talking to him in the beginning said, Mr. Brooks, don't grab my taser. Mr. Brooks, don't, he was still trying to respectfully tussle with him. And he's the one who lost his body cam. When they were walking the officer that did shoot to the homicide area, the words that came out of his mouth was, "I never thought I'd be here." We can talk about how casual they act and how casual a police officer this. But here's the thing. I'd never want to be faced with having to take the life of another human being. Never. And I'm not a police officer. I can't imagine what it is to suit up in their uniform every day, not knowing if that's going to be the day that you come home. I can't even imagine what it's like to put on the uniform now, knowing that if I do everything that I think is right, I can still be wrong. I don't know that I would want that. They don't even get paid enough for that. I'm just going to be honest. I can't speak for anybody else, but in the county that I live in, they don't get paid enough for that. They don't get benefits enough for that. They don't even have a death benefit that's good enough for that. So what are we going to do? What are we going to do? If police can't police, and don't get me wrong, because I'm the last person to take up for somebody that is wrong. But I'm going to stand for what's right. And what's right is this was not a white and black issue. It wasn't. So let's not make it a race issue, because it wasn't a race issue. This was not a police brutality issue. The amount of patience that these police officers gave this man, no, they didn't set out to hurt him. They didn't. Now, were they wrong for touching him before saying, all right, you're under arrest? I think so, but I don't even know what the law truly says about that. Is that enough to put them away? No. We're talking about a man who knew that if he went back to jail, as they say, he was about to have to bag up that time. He got let out on a pass. He knew he was out on a pass. CeeLo said, outside looking in, it's difficult for us to interpret the emotions that were happening in that moment. CeeLo, absolutely. And so to determine his intent, as Dre said, CeeLo, I agree, we're all looking in from the outside trying to interpret others' intent. So, which further says we can't say that this was a racial issue. It wasn't. He did. Thank you, Terry. Mama Pat said, true. They don't get paid that much here in Alabama either. Terry Taylor said, well, if he was drinking, he violated parole anyway. Not just drinking, but drinking and driving. And he was sloppy drunk. And when we talk about all lives can't matter until Black Lives Matter, that is like the truest statement ever. Have we stopped to think about what if his foot, because his foot, let's talk about that. The brake light was on. Now, mind you, I'm looking at this. So his foot was on the brake while he was asleep. What if somebody's child, like mine, one that elopes, one that runs away from me, ran and darted through that line right when he was so asleep that his foot came off the brake? And now she's smashed between two cars. What will we be saying then? Like, we got to think about this thing more than what we just see, more than meets the eye. And I can't even transform more than meets the eye. We have to think about the more than meets the eye. He drove to that McDonald's Wendy's, under that very condition he was in. If those officers were any type of racist, this is the other thing that I paid attention to, and I don't know if anybody else paid attention to it. The number of Black officers that kept saying, "Are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? I just want to make sure you okay." Don't you know they know if it's somebody that don't like? I can't speak for anybody else, but I know when somebody really don't feel me and is just tolerating me. But they had a real relationship. You don't do that. And then you're able to go out and just kill somebody because they're Black. And all I'm saying is this ain't that. And if we continue to misdirect, that's the best word I can use, or misguide our anger, our grief, our disdain for this, I don't know if I want to say broken system or system that was designed to keep us subdued, then we're never going to get away from up under it. Because we got to be willing to call out what's wrong. He was wrong. Did that mean he deserved to die? No, I wish he was still here. I wish he was still here. For his children's sake, I put it in the description. I want them to know that their daddy's last action is not a reflection of them. And this was before I knew that the daddy was mistreating them. So again, like this, that's the best way I can say it. This ain't that. This is not a George Floyd incident. This is not a Breonna Taylor incident. This is not an Tatiana Jefferson incident. This is not a Philando Castile incident. It's not. All lives can't matter until Black lives matter. And as a Black community, we got some stuff we got to do. We can't keep focusing on what America will do or won't do. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? CeeLo said is and ain't. Okay. CeeLo said, host, what are you saying? The officer was not racist, but the shooting was justified. Put me in check. CeeLo, from the very beginning, I felt like the shooting was justified. From the very beginning. I also felt like the officer wasn't racist. I felt like the officer was extremely patient with him in this case. I also realized that we cannot lump this case. Matter of fact, we can't even lump every other police brutality. I think that's the mistake that we're making. We're putting them all together instead of dealing with them individually. If we deal with each one individually, and I get it, it's so many that happen, like, oh my God, how are we going to keep up? Well, that's what we got to figure out. Let's get it together. But we got to deal with each one individually. Hey, Brooke, thank you for coming in. Let me go back up here. And so, still dealing with CeeLo's response. So no, I don't. And guess what? Even if he is racist, let me back that up. Even if he is racist, his actions were not. His actions that night, up until during the tussle, was not racist. From what? Neither one of them. The taser, and I do have this video because someone sent it to me from Instagram, but again, I don't know if I can show it, but it shows Mr. Brooks did release There was another fire in the taser. It barely missed the top of the officer's head. So again, we're saying he shot him in the back. Well, also on the video that I saw, his torso was tilted this way. His feet were running forward. But in the same split second that it took to pull that trigger, it could have taken him to turn back forward. And let's also remember, as beautifully laid out as the DA put that stuff out yesterday, because it was beautifully laid out, had me super like about to pull my hair out, like, what? It wasn't until about 15 to 20 minutes before I got on this show that I realized, or that I learned, how about that he is up for re-election this year, that he is under investigation for some inappropriate actions, that he, within the last 7-day period of those two events, in one event said that using a taser was deadly force, only to come back in this event and say that it wasn't. That's political. Keep in mind, there's another chief from Georgia that painted this out before any of the other stuff came out afterwards, saying that they did not contact the ambulance immediately, which they did. So they did not call for help immediately. They did. I lost my train of thought. Train of thoughts. His, and I don't want to say it so emphatically, but to hear that Black officer explain, that Black police chief from Georgia explain everything the way that it happened, and for him to say they were justified. Now, this is a Black police chief. Black. I don't know where my kids get that. Black. Like, yeah, he's a Black police officer. And he said those officers were justified. And he didn't understand why they were under so much scrutiny. And he broke it down as to why they were justified in the things that they did. And CNN, the anchor, I'll put it in the link, asked this man, do you think if he was white, they wouldn't have shot him? How the hell does he know if he wasn't white, that they wouldn't have shot? Like that's so that's race baiting. It's race baiting. So we have to be stronger. We have to be smarter. We have to be wiser, so that we don't get caught up in the net that the media throws out for us to distract us. We have to look at believe our eyes and see what we see, not pieces. Get the full layout. And even yesterday, when I say I was struggling because I was like, well, how? The only thing, and that's because I know that a still shot does not, they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. Yes, it is. And anybody can paint. I use pictures to paint a picture that I would like to see. So I can record an entire video and I can take still shots to make the most beautiful moment. So until I see that entire video of him kicking him, and even if he did kick him, let's back up. We're talking about some individuals that just had a fight. Yes, a police officer is supposed to govern himself better than that. But guess what he is up under that daggum uniform? Still a man. Still a man. I don't think this was about ego. I don't think this was about white and Black. I think that they demonstrated more patience than I've ever seen in my life. And I think we got to be real about it. No different than, if you guys remember me saying, the officer with Philando Castile and him killing him, that I felt he was afraid. He was truly afraid for his life. I don't feel like he shot him intentionally. Does that make it right? Does that justify it? Mm-mm. But we got to deal with the fact that of his reactions afterwards. Then I'm gonna let it go. I'm gonna put it down and we can talk. One thing that I learned about my daughter is about behavior. I keep saying that. With behavior, it's A, B, C. And I'm not a psychologist, so I can only explain it to you from the standpoint of a mom. The A is antecedent, which is what happens before the behavior. B is the behavior. C is consequence. In each one of, in this scenario, we would do an ABC for each individual. Antecedent for cop number 1. He walked up to the car, knocked on the door, told him to take a nap. That's the antecedent. Cop number 1 was also not the cop that touched him to put him in handcuffs. Let's be clear about that. Okay. The behavioral response was he went back to sleep. I'm sorry. The behavioral response was, yes, he went back to sleep. The consequence was the officer comes back over to the car, tells him to, hey, you're asleep. Are you okay? Do I need to call an ambulance? What? You should park over there. Okay. He goes over there to park. Antecedent, he in the car. The officer goes over there. Behavior, officer basically is about to let him go over there, sleep it off. Consequence, he could have went home. That's just the honest to God's truth based off of that part. Okay. Now let's talk about their interactions. Antecedent. They were not disrespectful to him. He was not disrespectful to them. They had a great interaction. Behavior. Officer goes to put the handcuffs on Mr. Brooks, and Mr. Brooks freaks out. That's the behavior. A fight, a tussle ensues. Mr. Brooks takes the taser. We're still dealing with behavior. Consequence. Mr. Brooks is running away. He does another behavior, which is turn around and use that taser and tries to shoot it at the officer, barely missing the top of his head. And the consequence is he gets shot. It's not about color. You see how that antecedent, behavior, and consequence has nothing to do with white, black, blue, brown, racist, not a racist, skinhead, not a skinhead, none of that. None of that. I wish Mr. Brooks was still here. I do. There were so many things that I wished happened differently, but all I could hear in the background was someone screaming, "You spent 30 mother minutes talking to him, and then you shoot him? You shoot him?" What that told me is perspective is something that we all see differently. Your truth is only as good as your perspective, and your perspective is only as good as your truth. But guess what? Neither one of them makes anything a fact. It makes nothing a fact. So that's my stance. I'm going to put the link in the chat. I thank you guys for giving me the opportunity to break this down as best I could. This is definitely not the line of work that I want to be in on YouTube, because I do get passionate about things, and I can't go with the narrative of color. I'm gonna go, like I said from the very beginning, we need a revolution, but it's not about black and white, it's about right and wrong. And that's how I choose to look at things when they're that blatant. Now, if it was another situation, I can't tell you that my response will be the same. But in this case, and especially knowing all the background pieces that I know now, my opinion still stands. This wasn't a race issue. They were justified in shooting. He was a threat, no matter how we try to say he wasn't. This was a man fleeing for his life. And we're saying, oh, they could have picked him up. No, the hell they couldn't. Because he knew that he was on parole. He knew he got released early because of COVID. So he knew whenever they got a hold of him to put him back in jail, that he was going to have to bag that time up for 8 years. He knew this. He knew this. So there's a lot of shoulda, coulda, wouldas. But what I don't want us to do is to allow the police to get to a place where they can't even come to work to protect us. And some may say, well, hell, they ain't protecting us no way. We got Saturday to talk about that. We got Saturday to talk about what can we do in each one of our communities to fix this. And some may say, well, it's not our job to fix it, it's their job. Okay. I don't want to take the chance of my sons getting killed. So I'd rather do what I can on my end and see how we can proceed further. But I also want to hope that I would be that mother, which God rest his mother's soul, but that I would be that mother that would tell my child when he's wrong or when she's wrong, no matter how much I love them, for their greater good, for the greater good of society. We got to stop rolling with people just because they look like us. We got to roll with what's right, what's wrong. And if those men can't protect themselves out, men and women, let's talk about both since we're saying police officers, if they can't protect themselves, and I'm not talking about the scary ones that don't need to have on a uniform anyway, because there are some that are in uniform that don't need to be in uniform. But I'm talking about the decent ones. If they can't protect themselves, then why do we expect them to go out there? The link is in the chat. If anybody wants to come up, I'm going to read the comments. I'm sorry. Brooks says, so Iseashia, do you believe that he only did this to get reelected? Absolutely. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Host, what are you saying? The DA has a hidden agenda? Yes, he does. I don't believe those charges are going to stick. Content. Question. The DA said the taser was only able to fire twice. So does that mean it was no longer a deadly weapon? No, ma'am. There's a video of the taser, and if you slow it down, it actually discharged. And that shows that it's a couple different things, because some people are saying 3 times, some people are saying 2 times. I don't know how many times it can do it, but it did discharge, and it barely missed one of the officers across the top of the head. Brooks said, yes, I don't believe he was racist at all. Yes, I agree. Each one has to have its own justice. Sticks girl is coming up. Well, he could have tased the cop, grabbed his gun, and shot the cop. Absolutely, Terry. Absolutely. Okay. Let me add to the screen. Is it Sticks girl?
Yes, it is. How are you?
Hold on.
Can you hear me?
One quick second. Andre, give me one quick second so I can get some volume. Okay. Is it Sticks girl?
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me?
I can. It was me. It was not you.
Okay. Well, hello to you and hello, chat.
Hi.
Okay. So I wanted to say I agree with you.
What?
Wholeheartedly about a lot of things, but I don't agree that he should have lost his life. And let me explain why. And I also did.
Oh, yeah. I agree that. I wish he didn't lose his life. I wish he was still here.
Right. And I did commentary on this very thing, and it was very interesting to see their interaction. I think
Mm-hmm.
the cops were very patient and compassionate,
Mm-hmm.
and he seemed like the sweetest soul.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you know, I said this in my video also. I said I couldn't tell if he may have had some cognitive issues, if he was really intoxicated, possibly on drugs.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't tell if he was simply being manipulative and trying to talk his way out of trouble, because I saw some of that too,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
He knew what he was doing because he had enough sense to try to run.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you know, now I do behavior therapy, and I work with children who do the ABCs, right?
Awesome.
So I do know that if he did have any type of behavioral or cognitive concerns, he wouldn't have said that. Nine
Mm-hmm.
times out of 10, he wouldn't have said it, and he probably don't acknowledge them.
Mm-hmm.
So when the cops asked him, I don't think he would have been forthcoming about that
Mm-hmm.
information.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I do feel like, and here's the example I use with a friend of mine. I was telling her, you know, we have students who will interrupt learning for an entire class,
Mm-hmm.
who will injure teachers, who will
Yes.
injure principals,
Mm-hmm.
who will run, who you're chasing them up the street.
Mm-hmm.
You know, all of these things, and you are frustrated. So that's why a lot of times when suspects run and fight the cops, that's why they beat them up. If we're honest now,
Mm-hmm.
we're just being real about it.
Yeah.
But I don't know why cops these days are chasing people with their bullets instead of doing like they do on the movies and simply chase them on foot. They could have called for backup. They could have chased him. They could have let him go because they at least had a car. He wasn't going too far. Now he was pretending like he couldn't find his license, so I don't know if he had it or not. But they could have found him,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I think they could have done some other things to avoid, but I do think human instinct kicked in, and I don't know if the other cop, initially I thought he was really young, but when I saw the picture, I was thinking maybe he's not, because he just made a lot of mistakes. You know, he was shooting around civilians. He was not obviously a very good shooter. You know, he was shooting cars and everything else, if you think about it, right?
He shot the lower end of a car, and he
Right.
shot Mr. Brooks in the butt and in the back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't even think he was a really good shot. I think, you know, cops, if they're going to shoot, they can, I know they're taught to shoot to kill, but in this case, should you have even pulled your weapon, he was not a threat that you should have been trying to kill them. However, did they perceive him as a threat? He did overpower them.
Mm-hmm.
He overpowered them.
Not only
And what would
overpowered,
have
but used
happened?
their taser. Remember that.
He took a taser. And what would have happened had he grabbed a gun? And
Exactly.
maybe they thought, well, he overpowered us the first time, so we're not going
Mm-hmm.
to try to tussle again. I don't know what
Mm-hmm.
they were thinking.
Mm-hmm. I just know what I would have thought. I'm not coming up on you again. I'm not, because here's the thing.
Right.
The first thing we say is, why don't they tase them? He was
Mm-hmm.
tased and he kept going. And the
Mm-hmm.
police chief in Georgia said, which he's a black man, he said that the taser is supposed to paralyze your muscles for a total of 5 seconds. And he literally went 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, 4 1,000, 5 1,000. He said in those 5 seconds, that's enough time for a perpetrator to get your weapon, shoot you with it, kick you in the head, do anything, any type of harm to you within that amount of time. And he did shoot that taser. There is a video that shows not only did it shoot, but exactly where it went over the officer's head.
Well, I thought it shot the officer. He jolted and hit that car. I thought it actually shot him. He didn't shoot it.
I heard on the video where he said, it caught me a little bit or something like that. That was the officer in the long sleeve shirt. That was the one that had been talking to him from the very beginning.
Okay.
From the very beginning. So I feel that if we make this a race issue on this, but like I get the frustration. I can't say it enough. Like I got 2 black sons. Like I get it. They are picking us off. You got some folk truthfully picking us off one by one. It's just this ain't that. Like I don't know any other way to say it. Like I could say this isn't that, but like
well, I know exactly what you're saying. I had a very intense conversation with a friend last night, and she was misunderstanding me because I was simply saying, my question was, and you know what I think it is? I think it's a complicated situation, especially in this climate, right? So my simple question was, in a nutshell, and I probably didn't come straight out and ask it in a simple way, but my simple question was, why is it some people, they're looking at the video and saying he wasn't a threat? Now, maybe they didn't see all of the video, but how could they not consider him a threat? Then the other part of that was, for me, like I told her, we can't look at this and compare it to other situations. We have to look at this separately. I know that we're tired. I know that, I know what time it is. I know the climate, but we cannot lump all of this together.
Yes, because then we're going to mess up. Like, we're not going to have any real footing if we don't get some type of structure. Agenda. And then if we don't call out the wrong, like it's so easy to say, well, here's another shooting, and I don't want young black boys thinking they can get shot. Well, the black officer in Georgia said, I don't want young black boys thinking that they can fight the police either.
Yeah. I don't, these cops, and I said this in my video also, these people are on some different types of drugs these days. He overpowered them. It's no telling what was going on through their minds.
Yeah.
They're faced with all types of things. Again, I said in my video, one choice changes the trajectory of our lives. And always say that, and I tell my students that one choice. And I think it's sad for everyone involved, because no one planned on that night. No one planned on that night. And I really believe that. I sincerely do. I feel bad for the officers. I definitely feel bad for him. It's just, I feel like it's a very unfortunate situation.
And then the officer literally said, I don't want to do this, tonight. Like he was going to let him go. And when his first interaction with him was, pull over, you had a long day, go over and take a nap. That was his first interaction. He went back to sleep in the drive-thru. So he had to go back. And at that point, he pulls him over, and that's when he says, I don't want to do this tonight. Like it was literally, it wasn't like, I don't want to fool with this end tonight. I don't want to fool with this end tonight. It was just like, I don't want to do this with this dude tonight. I don't want to do this. And then from my understanding, he's only been on the force 2 years.
And I believe that. I believe that he made a lot of mistakes. So I can see that. But he was very patient. I feel like he was trying to be very kind. But even in trying to be kind, I think he made a lot of mistakes.
The big mistake, and I hate it for us, is going to be that he was kind. He should have just went ahead and put the handcuffs on him the moment he smelled the alcohol.
Yeah, well, that's true too.
That's true. Of course, the DUI. Also certified in DUI because he's not certified in DUI. But he knew the alcohol. He smelled the alcohol. He was very slurred in his speaking. He asked, did he have any type of medical issues that would cause him to be unbalanced? Nope. Right. Do I need to call an ambulance? No. Have you had anything to drink? Just one. And just one change to others after the test. What was it? The sobriety, not the sobriety test, but the
The
breath
breathalyzer.
was done. Yes, ma'am. And so it's like, at what point? And even with the officer, he was like, he is a threat. Now this, and here's the thing with the DA. When I heard this today, I was just, my mind was blown, because I remember the story with the college students. I didn't realize it was that close. And so one week you say that a taser is deadly force, and then this week you say it's not.
Right. Well, I think they're going to say anything to justify whatever position that they're trying to make.
Exactly.
You know?
And then
that's just how that goes.
Election this year. In a couple.
Okay.
And so even when I saw that still shot of him kicking him, I was like, "Where's the video?" Because a still shot, like, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Where is the video? Is he kicking him, or did he take his foot to push his body over? Because I don't want to walk up and touch you. I just tussled with you. I just fought with you.
He looked angry to me. It looked like he was getting a running start.
But that's a still shot. Now I'm using my foot to turn over. Amen. So I don't know. Like, I need to see that video. I can't even judge anything by that picture.
Well, I'm going to say the cops at that point were probably angry. They were probably scared. They were probably going on adrenaline. They probably had a lot of ego. It was probably a lot of things involved at that point. I think overall it's just a complex situation. I think some of us don't care what was going on. I have a friend who says she just wants everyone to make it home.
Yes.
She wants them to make it home. And so I think some people don't care about the details. They don't want to hear it. They're not going to analyze it. They're not going to break it down. I don't care who, what, when, where, and how. They had training. He's supposed to know his job. But I'm here to tell you, that's why even so many teachers end up in trouble. Because, honey, if a student is throwing a chair across the table, and throwing it across the room, and other children are in danger and all types of things, sometimes even adults can make mistakes with children.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I get it when you're dealing with an acting out person. That's what they're called. When you're dealing with an acting out person, that's why every year we all have to go through extensive training, and every year people will still make mistakes.
And I firmly believe that some things that, like, and I guess that's what Saturday's topic is going to be about, but some things that I do believe need to happen. Officers should need to have annual mental evaluations, probably even biannual, especially if they've shot someone. I also think that just like, health, what do you call it, like a health check, I think that if they have shot someone, then not only do you need to go through that whatever series of therapy that is, but you still need to do some type of checking in, period, to see where your body is. Even during this time when it's so stressful, these officers need to go through some type of, hey, just checking in with you. This is like, is anything going on? Because I know tensions are high. Because again, they're putting on a uniform every day to go out, not knowing if they're going to make it home. And we got to figure it out, because we need them. We can say all day long, let's defund the police. I don't trust folk in my own family to defund the police. Why would I just trust the world?
Right.
Like, no. I don't trust me on some days to do the right thing. So,
I think they need a break. I think it's just like I tell parents, they're like, oh, you guys are out for X amount of time. Oh, you want your educators, counselors, therapists, you want them to have a break. So I can imagine going, to work every day into a war zone, because I feel like every day I go to work, it's a war zone now. There are shootings in the schools, there are children bringing weapons, there are children committing suicide at school. It's traumatizing. And don't have a student who's terrorized you all year long. There are teachers who take off, and they have to. So
and to this degree, just like with the fall, and that's a whole nother topic, but going back to school under these CDC guidelines, I'm like, no, these kids need to stay home, because sending them to school is like it's going to be like sending them to detention centers. And I don't know about what county you're in, but the county that we're in, they already in high school walking through metal detectors. So then they're going to go in a room, in a room all day with partitions and not be able to talk and interact with each other. That's a detention center. That doesn't. How is that emotionally okay?
Well, I stay in a very prominent area, but the schools still have SRO officers. You do know every school has an officer in it. I don't care if it's an elementary school these days.
Oh, but
so just the fact that there is police presence on our campus also says a lot. So, to bring it back to the topic, I do believe that police definitely, they need some time off. If I need time off when I deal with behavior students every day, all day, I know that they need time off. I can't even imagine.
And I salute you for dealing with, because baby, my youngest one, I can't imagine having a classroom full of her. I can't.
Well, at least you're not in denial. So you're one of the great parents.
No, I'm not in denial at all. Actually, I've even gone to school with my oldest before. Well, one of my sons before, and I'll sit in the class like I'm that parent. I'm that parent. I'm coming. But the way these kids talk back to teachers now, and say, oh Lord, I couldn't be a teacher. No, bless you.
Well, thank you so much.
I know it ain't. That's why I pray for y'all. And when May come, baby, I try to give gifts before May, during May, while May is going on, and at the end of the year. Because teachers, bless you.
Thank you.
Going in to deal with the behaviors, and I don't know if a lot of your behaviors. I know for a fact that some of the parents that I advocate for don't believe their children have some behaviors. So
exactly. Exactly. And I think that's what I felt like with this case. And I even said that to a friend. I said, I feel like it's like the parents who say, well, my baby didn't do nothing wrong. Your baby had a part in this. Your baby had a part.
And know that he was out on
that's
parole.
what it felt like. You can't ignore that behavior.
I said, and to know that he was out on parole, early release because of COVID. Oh, you didn't want to go back to jail. You didn't want to back that time up. So, Derek said, Miss, what did he say? Miss Stiggers of Tennessee. I'm trying to see.
Sticks girl of Texas. That's what he calls me.
Okay. I thought he said Tennessee. I was like, wait a minute, she in Tennessee too. No. But yes, I thank you for coming in, and I, like I said earlier, like this was the first time I feel like I wasn't Black enough to talk about a Black issue, and I don't ever feel like I ain't Black enough to talk about nothing. But it was like, because there's a lot of people that don't agree. I wish he didn't lose his life. I didn't. That doesn't mean that they weren't justified in their actions. So did he shoot to actually kill? I don't know, because he shot the man in the butt. He tagged him like nothing stopped. So I don't know. And then to find out that this DA is up for re-election, that makes it like, okay, so are we like? And I said this Tuesday before I knew any of this. I said, could we be still dealing with the George Floyd incident and allowing those emotions to carry over and not clearly looking at this situation?
That's what we're doing. And not only George Floyd, the young lady, Breonna Taylor, and the names go on and on and on. We're just tired. Like this couldn't have happened at a more I don't know. I just think it just happened, right in the brink of all of this. And those poor cops, that's the sword that they're going to have to die on. They're going to have to be the example. That's what I feel like. It almost feel like they're the sacrificial lambs just because of the climate. However, I feel like they could have made some different choices. And I feel like a lot of cops can, but I feel like had it not been this time, I don't even think that we would be having this conversation, if that makes any sense.
Not at all. And I fear that, and you know how you almost don't want to say it, but I fear that Atlanta will have the ability. They think that they prevented a riot, but they've just prolonged one because that was not the correct way to handle that. And when these officers come back with a lawsuit, when these officers are cleared, then what? Like, we have to think about, instead of right now, like, we really have to think about everything through. And in Mary Bottoms, I love her. That was an emotional response to fire somebody that soon. And I get it. You're trying not to have another Minneapolis happen, but you still have to take the necessary steps to fully investigate before doing it. And I just didn't see this as a race issue. I promise you I didn't.
No, I didn't either. And I think as soon as the police chief quit, after she fired the cops, I knew it was going to be some issues.
Yeah.
Because I believe that, and I said this in my video, I know I keep saying that, but I believe that chief saw her actions. I believe that chief saw her actions, and the chief, she didn't agree. That's what I believe. That's what I believe happened.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Not only did she not agree, but like, how dare you? I've stood with you through all. I stood right here with you last week when we were trying to prevent them from tearing up the CNN building. I stood right here with you and T.I. and Lord, I can't even think of the rapper's name. The other influential guy. Lord help me, I can't even think his name.
Is it Ludacris, maybe?
No, it was the heavyset.
Rick Ross, maybe?
No, Lord, I can't think of his name, but he's like real big in Atlanta. Like the chief, I can see her saying, I stood here. I've done my part. And for you to overstep, like, yeah. So there are so many pieces, and I appreciate the way she did it, though. She did it so eloquently. I think that this person will be better to handle this than me, and just kind of removing herself at that point. Because again, who knows she knows her officers greater than the mayor. But not only that, just to see that body cam and to see how many Black officers they knew that he was Black. They knew that the person he shot was Black, and they still can't. Are you okay? Are you okay? And he kept saying, how's Mr. Brooks doing?
Right.
The word on Mr. Brooks. You know what I'm saying? And as you could literally tell watching it that his adrenaline was going down. His adrenaline was going down, the more you could hear in his voice that by the end of the night, when he got home to his wife or that camera got off, he was gonna cry.
Right.
Was about it.
Not only that, but even other officers supposedly. Now, you heard one report say they called in or they called out, and then you hear another say, oh no, we're fine. Yeah, they were saying that officers called out last night. So I believe that these were not bad cops, and their co-workers also feel that. So I'm really concerned with how that blowback is going to be.
Yeah.
However, I'm going to give you back your platform. I think you did a beautiful job.
I enjoyed you. Thank you because I was like, okay, I'm gonna let her upload. Like, give me one to say.
Like, I don't know who this crazy lady is.
No, I was like, I gotta stand firm on my honest opinion, though, because I know that it's not a popular opinion,
right?
But the one thing that I've always said is I'm gonna be transparent, authentic. So I can't roll with popular. And I've said, like, my very first video says, we need a revolution, but it's not about black and white. It's about right and wrong. And this is about right and wrong. And I'm sorry, but it is. And I just hope we can learn as a community not to put color with everything. Because in the end, that could backfire on us, if that makes sense, because now you don't know I don't know how to touch y'all. I don't know how to deal with y'all. I don't know what to say to y'all. I'm damned if I do, damned if I don't. Like, really, there's no other way. So I don't know what to do besides strictly stick to the book. I can't let you get no pass. I can't let you not get a ticket. I can't. You get what I'm saying? Like, is that the color that we want? I don't know. And I know for a fact, there was a time in my younger days, somebody told me, I said, I've been young and dumb before. And they was like, don't say that. Oh, no, honey, I've been young and super dumb before. And there was a time that a friend and I were pulled over by a police officer. And he literally put us in the back of the car, and I begged and pleaded not to go to jail. And he was like, you should have thought about your family before. I was like, I'm about to get married. I got a daughter. He was like, you should have thought about that before you did what you did. He didn't take me to jail, praise God. He was a white man. And even after he tortured me, he allowed someone else to take me to the house. Even though I wasn't driving, I was on the passenger side, but still, the activities were not legal. And I could have gone to jail. But I did. And so every cop isn't, and that man don't know me from anybody. He was an older white man.
Right.
Let me go. Told me to flip a coin. Told the person outside that was gonna take me home to flip a coin. And if I got it right, he was gonna let me out the car. And they said, my friend said when I pulled out, when they took me away, my other friend took me away. She said the police officer told her, don't ever take her to the casino with you because you're not gonna win because I got all of them wrong. But he still. You know what? So I've been young and dumb before. However, for me, this just ain't that. It's not about, I'm sorry. And I think people, when they hear you say the word justified, that he deserved to die. No, he didn't deserve to die. They were just, them being justified in their actions doesn't mean he deserved to die. It simply means the action was justified, but it doesn't mean that he deserves to die. That's two different things. He didn't deserve to die. I'm sure they didn't want him to die. The way the man kept checking on, he didn't want him to die. Right. Him. So the actions were justified, but just because that was justified doesn't mean he deserved to die.
I hear what you're saying.
The action caused death.
Right.
That wasn't the purpose of the action. I guess that makes sense. Like,
yes, I understand what you're saying. Well, you could go as far back to his actions. Okay. So did his actions, did he deserve, to me, the tumble and the trajectory changed with his actions.
Yes.
He started the tumbleweeds. Now, I do believe they could have taken some different actions. You don't chase a person with a bullet. I still say that. But he started, it was his actions that changed the entire situation. It truly was. It truly, truly was. So that's the unfortunate thing. It was like a domino effect. So I get what you're saying. I think you did a beautiful job of expounding upon your point in time.
Thank you. And I'm going to make sure that I get over so that we can stay connected. Because sometimes you need like minds, Lord.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. No, thank you. And please feel free to come anytime. You're always welcome.
Okay. All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye. Okay. Let's see here. I want to kind of go over, make sure there's nothing I didn't. Total Chaos says, hate the man lost his life, but I asked everyone, if the officer was your loved one, would you say the same? A taser in the eye can't equal death to the cop. Yep, because the eye is connected to the brain. I didn't catch that, but the taser was discharged and used. That part is true. He and when I say discharged, Mr. Brooks discharged it towards the officers. Never did I say that Mr. Brooks deserved to have his life taken. So I want to be very clear on that stand. I didn't say that. I said I felt their actions were justified. And so the action was to neutralize the threat. It was not the intent to kill. And I say that based on his constant asking, how's Mr. Brooks? Have you gotten any word on Mr. Brooks? Total Chaos said, great point, Caller, but what happens if this man gets away and takes someone's car or hurts someone else trying to get away? Exactly. Exactly. And especially now knowing that he didn't want to go back to jail. Like he was on parole. He wasn't supposed like that. So now I get it. And the crazy thing is my husband kept saying, there's something that we're missing here. There has to be something that we're missing. He kept saying that. And literally right before we came on, that's when we found out that something. Yeah, Miss Fat Fat, that's what some were saying Tuesday, but that wasn't even his reason. He just didn't want to go back to jail. He was on parole. Derek C. Williams says black folks can't call out obvious wrongs. We do. Y'all come off as Trump supporter and a Republican. So I do. That ain't. Well, don't put me in the label because I don't know what I am anymore. Thanks for sharing this out, Derek. Yes, thank you. Oh, content of Tennessee. Content. Let's make sure we connect. She said, I've been here a while. I went and got Stiggs to get her up and through here. Yes, thank you for bringing Stiggs over here. Miss Fat, that's what I thought. They're trained that way. But he could have detained him. Outstanding content. Thank you. Thank you. Derek, I thought about that point too. Remember the movie Life. Let's see. Trying to make sure I miss anything before we get out of here. I read that a lot of call outs but wow, ouch. Derek, if you're still in here, I'm going to drop this for you. Please come up if you are still in here so you can help close us out. I'm sure there are going to be a lot more officers to walk out because Killer Mike, that was his name. Thank you, Derek. Why you didn't come up here when we needed you, Jesus? Killer Mike. CeeLo even put it. Killer. Yes. Miss Fefe said, I am pro-gun and responsible gun owners stop idiots on the street. Oh, I'm sorry. Derek said that. I'm pro-gun too. That's my amendment. I mean, Second Amendment says I can have that, right? There was just a text where the guy was shooting at the cops this week. They shot at him and only got him in the arm. Oh, yeah, he was white. Yeah. Well, okay, family. Gotta roll with my segment starts in 4 minutes. Okay, Brooke, I'm gonna come over. If you guys don't mind going over to support Brooke Valentine, CEO, Secretary of Information, you can. She is going live now. BBK, thank you for stopping by. Here comes Derek Williams. What it do, my brother?
Big timers, big timers, big timers. Shout out and respect due to Miss Iseashia of Memphis.
Thank you for sharing me out, Derek.
I told you got the full weight of my little YouTube channel in support of you, man. I runs with you. All right?
I appreciate you. I
hold my word. If I run with you, that's what it is.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. And, well, I want to first off, I should tell you, Sticks girl, like yourself, you all I spruced up my YouTube channel. Both of you are 2 featured members on my YouTube channel. So when you go to my front page, when you go to my front page and you look over to the right side, you're gonna see featured channel. Just scroll down. You right there with her, Sticks girl, and a couple other people.
Thank you. Just know that you're on mine too. It's called Aisha's Inspirations, but you've been on there since day one.
Yeah, well, I try. Like I said, I hold my words. You know, we're supposed to support folks with well, at least I do anyway. I run with people that I believe that are good people overall, and they just smart. You know, they have good content. You know, pun intended, because content is in the building. You gonna like her. Yeah, you gonna like her. Yeah, I don't know where she from. I think content from Memphis. I don't think she stay in Memphis no more, but she from Tennessee.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I don't know where she at now. She's somewhere in the volunteer state. But yeah, I was gonna say, you know, I was gonna do a video on this topic, but you know, everybody done had an armchair quarterback type of thing. It's nothing for me to say, really. It's nothing.
Derek, your perspective is always different than, not different to that degree, but you still always bring something extra that we didn't know. Do your content, real talk.
Well, thank you. Yeah, but I just
Content till I die, baby. There's no place like it.
yeah. Well, I'm thinking about I'm debating on whether I'm gonna do a live at night, either Friday night or Saturday night. I'm not sure yet, but I haven't made no videos this week because everybody been talking about this here.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm just gonna touch on it because again, everybody done looked at it from 50,000 angles. And just again, I just keep saying it. It looks like the phenomenon, they call it suicide by cop.
Yeah.
But he did it in a roundabout way. Because usually what it is when they do these suicide by cop things, they run into the police with the intent of getting blasted.
Right.
He bucked at them and took off. And I just don't understand why he had the upper hand. If you really was thinking about your life, you would think, okay, I got him down. Pew! Let me go and get out.
He would have got on down. He would not have turned around to shoot nothing.
He had to stop. He had to stop and deploy that thing. And so you gave the police, the second police, time to draw down on him and buck him. And what people have to understand is that when the police feel that there is an imminent threat on their life, there is no safe place to shoot the person. You're going to drop them. And so what it is that I have put in your chat room is that to say the obvious is to offend people. I'm not meaning to offend nobody. You're just saying what is. Because the police obviously felt there was an imminent threat on their life, all bets is off. If they'd have shot him in the head, if they'd have hit him in the base of his skull, it's still a justified shooting. Now, you ain't supposed to say that because people who have not been in the military or who have not had police training, they can't see it like that. And then you throw the fact in, you got all this black blood that was spilled unjustly by white police. But at the same time, the weekend is coming, Miss Iseashia. Right?
I know.
Black Lives Matter, except on Saturday night. That's my saying. Somebody else may have said it on YouTube. Somebody else may have said it on Instagram. I'm not on none of them, so I don't know what they be saying. But I know I be saying it. Black Lives Matter, except for Saturday night. And more of us kill us than white police. But you're not burning down nothing over that. You're not burning down nothing over that. You'll put a T-shirt out. You'll throw some balloons over on the corner, and somebody will kick them over in 3 days. And you're gonna have a candle out there. But ain't nobody tearing nothing up.
Yeah.
But a white cop shoot one black person, you're gonna go burn the windows down. Now I can't get my
No. We didn't burn it down.
Yeah.
We didn't
burn
it.
Man. That windows ain't have nothing to do with that boy getting killed. So
we didn't burn it. We didn't burn it.
Ma'am, I got that. I understand about the age of provocateurs, but I'm saying we do have a propensity in our neighborhoods to tear up when the police shoots one of us. That's what I'm saying.
I just want to make sure that we understood. I just said that one of our Caucasian sisters burnt that window up.
Well, and you may have heard of the I believe it's in New York City. They just gave felony charges for a white woman who just they got her on camera. She had something flammable and she threw the object into the police cruiser, and it no, this was here in Philadelphia. I'm sorry, this was here in Philadelphia actually. But yes, I'm just saying, generally speaking, when we have, this is just historical, when we have these incidents where you have police involved shootings where a white cop shoot one of us, we do tend to have a propensity to tear up in our neighborhood. That's what I meant. But you're right. In this particular case here, it was some white people doing this, but even still, what do that have to do with you shooting this guy? You're gonna burn up a building. I just don't. In other words, I'm trying to link the two together. He got shot by the police. You didn't go to the Atlanta police station. You're gonna burn up the other fast food place.
The fast food place that called the police because he was asleep in the drive-thru. And the brake light was on. That's the part I want people to see on the video. That foot was on the brake.
So he stopped in traffic. So he brought attention to himself.
Yeah.
All he needed to do, if he really was that messed up, pull to the side, man.
And the first time he told me, he said, pull over. He said, you had a long day, pull over, take a nap. And he had to go back over there again and knock on their window. He could still, and I'm not saying his death is just, or I don't want to say he deserved to die. That's not what I'm saying.
See what I mean? But that's what I'm saying, Iseashia. we have gotten so politically correct to put disclaimers on everything.
Everything, yeah. And it should be given that I'm not saying, oh, he deserves to die.
I don't
nobody deserves to die.
Yeah, I mean, but you always have to preface what you want. You have to preface that and then say what you want to say. We all adults. Just say what you mean. And if you want clarification, then I'll come back.
Right. So that's why I'm clarifying. Like, they were justified. He didn't deserve to die. Unfortunately, the justified action caused death. It didn't have to cause death. He didn't have, like, there were things, you know, and to find out that this DA.
Yeah, what can you say? It's just an unfortunate situation
that has been made very political.
I think 85% of people, if you were to ask him, they say, well, like, look, man, had he just complied. But you have so many people, once again, see, this is where, like, the sins of the father come in. And that's where you kind of throw logic out of the window. When one of us get killed by one of them.
I enjoyed you. Thank you for coming over. I'm listening. I'm sorry.
Yeah, when one of us get killed by one of them, I'm not trying to hear no logic. They got us. They all out to get us, and that's actually that if you believe the FBI statistics, many people have a problem with those. Mm-hmm. So but the thing is that we do tend to act up on the weekend. You have more of us killing us than white guy. So, but never mind that. Never throw that out the table. Throw that off the table.
And that's
when
why
one of us get killed by one of them, it's hell. It's the purge and all this other stuff. Come on, man.
And that's why I said the Black Lives Matter. Yes, and there are so many layers to Black Lives Matter. But Black Lives Matter, the movement. I can't say that. I don't even know the agenda. Like, I know what started the movement, but what has the movement done?
Well, it's been corrupted after. To me, it's been corrupt and co-opted after probably about 2015. George Soros got his hands all up in it. The three women that started it, Black Lives Matter. I haven't seen not a official statement from them. DeRay McKeeson, the face of Black Lives Matter, that I understand, ain't seen this boy Ashley Shackelford. I'm gonna talk about her son Reckless Sad. Just you have all these people that are the faces or the popular faces of Black Lives Matter. You don't even see them. But you hear all these people running around talking about Black Lives Matter. I have not heard from DeRay McKeeson, Ashley Shackelford, or the three women that started this thing. You would think that they would be coming out and saying something. You ain't heard nothing. But like I said, Soros and other benefactors, they done been took that thing over. So like when I hear Black Lives Matter, the phrase is funny now. It whatever fire it had in 2013, it's been long extinguished, in my opinion.
My thing is, like I said, Black lives do matter, but there is a layer to it, and there's a layer that includes us that we got to deal with us.
Well, if we just could get past the Saturday night thing, maybe we can get something going. But again, like I said,
we don't want to hold us accountable for nothing. Like, how many people have you heard say, why couldn't they just take him home? When the police officers
that's not their job. That's not somebody in your chat room
didn't even know where he was. Like, he said he was in 3 different counties or cities. I was like, the man, he didn't know where he was.
Well, someone in the chat room, I think it was Fat, and I had typed a response that the police legally have no obligation to protect you. I think it's Marbury versus United States. That thing was tried years ago. The police don't owe you that. So and actually, you wonder why they don't come out as quick as they do, because they're not on the hook to protect you. They're there to stop crimes in progress and maintain social order. Now, if they catch you in the act, yes, they got you dead to rights. But you wonder why like here in Philadelphia, it's a 17-minute response time.
Oh, that's compared to here.
I was reading, if I'm not mistaken, in Detroit, Michigan. This was like maybe 2011. Response time back then was 2 days. Jeez. I would read that in shock. So you wonder why they don't come out so quick, because they don't have any legal obligation to protect you.
I can believe that,
So,
because I'm telling you,
so
we're less than 2 minutes from the station, and it took them 45 minutes to come. And it was a lost child in my house, 3 years
yeah,
old.
and
So
so I'm telling you right now on YouTube, I got 2 burners up in here. I'm all for responsible gun ownership,
yes, absolutely.
and and then we let the chips fall where they may. But I would be rather judged by 12 than carried by 6.
Yes,
My own
sir.
personal thing. So I got 2 burners in here. Damaris hold them things too. I was talking with Brooke Valentine yesterday as an example.
Mm-hmm.
With the with your protection
Mm-hmm.
in the Baltimore area, a 17-year-old girl was raped, killed, and the perpetrators burned the house to make it look like the house was burnt by her.
Mm.
What if she had a firearm?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you fast forward on up a few years. I think last year, a little white girl in Alabama, she
Mm-hmm.
blasted a black assailant,
Blow.
dropping
Yes,
him. So you
I
got to
remember.
salute to the parents that did that. But I'm saying all that to say this: the police don't owe you nothing.
Yeah.
They're there to stop crime. My brother Brian. He a policeman to stop crimes in progress and maintain the social order. So if you want to take police off the table with regards to defunding, I just can't see that your city don't burn to the ground.
Right.
You have no deterrent, and
Right.
that's really all. That's really all responsible gun ownership is. The American Old West. You didn't have. If I challenged you to a duel, you was gonna get shot, or I was
No.
gonna get shot. There was no strays.
Mm-mm.
And you had order. People respected it. You had a better society. But we've been conditioned to think gun bad. No, gun is a tool.
Mm-mm.
They run over people with cars,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't ban cars.
Yeah.
So that dog don't hunt to me.
And
That
it
that
doesn't mean
dog.
either. Guns aren't bad. We don't need to now. Now, I do believe that we don't need military grade weapons. However, I even have to think twice about that, because when you're talking about overtaking someone's home, and that their home that they've paid for, they work for, doesn't technically belong to them, and you can come in and use it for a stakeout, or you can come in and use it to, like, that type of thing. I'm still trying to.
Well, that's supposed to be where the Fourth Amendment of illegal search and seizure, I think, come in. They ain't supposed to come in, and that's the reason why that's there.
Mhm.
Or no, I'm sorry. The quartering of troops. It's within the Constitution, and
Yeah.
they ain't supposed to do that, but they do that.
Yeah.
Because they got bigger guns. So that what that tell you about government and how they treat its citizens.
Yeah. Yeah, and I firmly believe that every black man that has the ability to carry should carry. I do.
Yes,
Um,
ma'am. You
I
you
think
you act nice. You people just you got no choice but to act nice because who want to get shot?
right.
It's just
Right.
a deterrent. It's a tool like anything else.
Mhm.
Growing up in Mississippi, I saw and my dad is den. It was Remington buckshot shells everywhere. It was nothing. It was
Yeah.
nothing. But up north, see, I guess folks up north, they don't really bang like that up here. But I do.
Well, in the
I do.
South, we had McGruff the Crown Dog come in and tell us not to, just say, just ain't no drugs, just ain't no guns. But yet, you got other cultures teaching their children how to shoot before they're in double digits. Mm-mm.
And you got to salute that.
Mhm.
We the ones that will give our gun back for a can of soup.
Yeah. Gun by back. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have nobody to blame but ourselves. But
Mhm.
but just to circle back to what you was talking about, just in my humble opinion, I talked to my brother the last couple of days, and Brian didn't have to tell me none of that. I just knew from living life.
Yeah.
That boy committed suicide by cop in reverse. He ran from him and still got shot, but he started. So
And even with the running, though, like when you see the video, his torso is turned towards them when he
that's a threatening posture right there.
Yeah, and so
at that point,
to say he shot him in the back, I mean, the same amount of seconds it took to pull the trigger, it took for him to turn around. So I don't know.
But again, all this is on the heels of everything that done happened recently and throughout history. And so again, you have with many people, black, white, whatever, the logic goes out of the window.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I can see it from both sides. I don't agree with that side, but I understand why it is. I think that this whole thing, the whole subject of race, in my opinion, it's a sins of the father type scenario. None of this. I was telling TR yesterday. This is June. This is Black Music Month. Why should we have to have a Black Music Month? Because Black people were excluded from the mainstream with their musical contribution. So Black people had to come up with something. The very fact that you got Tennessee State, you got Jackson State, Mississippi Valley State is because Black people were excluded from the mainstream. So they had to come up with historically Black colleges. So all this, everything has a beginning. Everything has a genesis. And to me, I think all of this, America, we're just witnessing sins of the father being played out. That's all.
Yeah.
So so like I said, I'm gonna go and step aside, and I want to thank you for having me on as always, and I run with you. All right.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm about to get off of here. Thank you so much, Derek. You have a great night. I'm sure we'll catch each other in these YouTube streets.
Yes, ma'am. You take care.
Thank you for sharing me out as well and sending some awesome people this way. Stick Girls content. I appreciate you guys.
Man, this girl don't be talking about nothing, man. All right,
I don't know. When she came up and I was like, oh, thank you, Lord. Yeah, I just needed somebody to understand.
Bless her heart. You want to talk to content though. All right.
Oh yes, most definitely. I'm gonna make sure we connect and stick, because YouTube be quick to take somebody away from you. All right.
Yes, ma'am. All right, take care.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you guys so much for joining me tonight. CeeLo said that's why folks struggle with the restraining orders, of course. Tonight's conversation was real, but I do feel a lot better than I did. Thank you so much, content. I'm gonna make sure that I connect with both of you guys, because I definitely enjoyed it. I look forward to even hearing your content as well. All I can say, I do hate that Mr. Brooks is no longer with us. I don't know the depth of his history, of his history of violence. I do know that it was that. I will not vilify the victim here. And even though he was the perpetrator, he's dead now. So he is the victim. And he's still somebody's father, brother, son, friend. And so with that, I won't vilify him. I will say, however, let's be mindful of the choices that we make, the decisions that we make. Let's make sure that his life is not in vain. And that we take something from this, and that we teach our children the importance of not drinking and driving. Donate something to MAD if we can, or follow up with Mothers Against Drunk Driving. Find some way to, I believe in planting and sowing. So there has been bloodshed. Bloodshed due to drinking while driving, basically. His actions, there were a lot of things that could have been done differently. However, the officers did, I feel, what they were called to do, and it just ended up in him losing his life. I don't think he deserved to die. I don't think anyone deserves to die if it's not their time to go. I wish he would have just thought differently. I don't know how he thought that he was going to get out of that situation, especially knowing that he was on parole. But again, you don't know what your mind is. Like the chief said in Atlanta, and I'll make sure I put these links in the video. He said, when you put handcuffs on a perpetrator, you need to do it within 2 seconds, because one of 3 things is going to happen. They're going to fight, flight, or comply. And he chose to fight. And so with that being said, I hate that this is a political thing. It has become a political thing. I hope that if the DA actually did all of this because it is an election season and he is up for re-election, that he faces some type of charges, because we're all put in jeopardy when officers feel like they cannot police anymore. just like they're put in jeopardy when we as a people feel like we can't trust them anymore. So somewhere we have to meet in the middle and come to a compromise so that we can talk. I encourage you, and we'll talk about it more on Saturday, because Saturday's part 3 is about having resolutions. So you're gonna have brunch with Aisha Saturday at 11:30. This will be part 3 of All Lives Can't Matter Until Black Lives Matter. I encourage you to come with solutions and resolutions to the table about what we can do in our own communities that can spread like wildfire. Not something that takes a big organization, not something that requires us to go to a big organization, but I'm talking about something that will allow us to just speak with the officers that patrol our neighborhood, something that will allow us to connect with the officers that are in our neighborhood, something that will allow us to get the officers to connect with the children that are in our neighborhood. So think on those things. Come back Saturday. I look forward to hearing your ideas because I want to do what I can do to make sure that none of the children in my neighborhood grow up to respond in such a way or become a news label at the bottom, breaking news story. So thank you guys for stopping by. Everybody that came over, all of my new people that came in to visit, I appreciate you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. CeeLo said, I was glad you got your truth out. And that's the thing. That's just my perspective, which doesn't even make it fact. But yeah, I love you guys. Sending lots of peace, love, joy, and blessings your way. God be with you. Till I see you again. Good night.